Alright, and we are now live with the 28th episode of the ESOU podcast with my co-host Olibeau, featuring special guests CptMorganGaming and Soviet. And it's sort of a deviation from our usual pattern of guests. We rarely have PvPers or PvP endgamers on the podcast, so this is pretty exciting. Yeah, so would you guys like to introduce yourselves? Maybe starting with CptMorganGaming.
Yes. I've been bulk grouping for like about 4 years. It's like probably the only thing that keeps me coming back to this game. It's so like diverse. Like every fight is so different. I love it so much. I started out doing like massive Zerg fights, or like multiple group fight, and kind of just gradually got into it. Then decided to, do something a little bit more. Challenge ourselves. And the way I view this is kind of like as a trial, but PvP. It's just so much fun.
Yeah.
So how did you start out? Were you a PvEer first?
Oh no! I mean, I was just doing quests. I just got into the game for a little bit. Finally got into PvP. No joke. I got into PvP and didn't realize how to leave. Kind of stuck around. Ended up joining some massive Zerg group, and then stayed with them for a little bit, left game for a little bit, came back, and I finally took over for them, and then decided to kind of take it more a little like seriously. After that, I've been doing that for like 4 years, haven't stopped.
Did you ever figure out how to leave Cyrodiil?
Yeah, eventually. Okay. I mean, I kept logging. I only had one tune in the beginning, so I kept logging in to that same tune, and I was like, fuck it, but...
I think that's like a well-known thing, right? People really don't know how to leave Cyrodiil.
Yeah.
That's why people in Zone always ask if they can leave Cyrodiil. And you can't tell if they're joking or not either, you know what I mean? So it's like,
right.
Yeah,
do you tell them we're...
Yeah.
No.
And I've also done, like trials and dungeons and stuff, and don't get me wrong, like it can get really crazy. Like Nefas, I've watched a couple of your streams on doing some trials. It looks pretty crazy. I think for PvP, it's just so diverse. Like we might go to the same keeps, we might do all that stuff. It's always different. There's always different aspect, different groups messing with you, different stuff like that. It really takes a lot of people, like 12 strong people, to actually like accomplish like a bigger goal than yourself.
Yeah.
How about you, Soviet?
Yeah, so I have been playing this game since pretty much from launch, but I played on console for a while, and then I swapped to PC in like 2018, I think. And I've kind of had like the same friend group, and we've kind of just been friends, but we started ball grouping in 2019, I believe, like late 2019, and we played for like a year or so. It was just like kind of casual, like nothing too crazy, and we took a break, and then like late 2020, I guess we started raiding more seriously, doing like actual scheduled raids with like actual group comps and stuff like that. So and besides that, I've played on other servers. I've played with like multiple other guilds, and I've also done like PvE in the game as well, but I think the PvP is what keeps me coming back.
Okay. You both said PvP gets you to come back, but on the other hand, has PvP ever made you like leave?
Oh hell yes, dude.
Pretty much every single raid, to be honest.
Okay.
Usually we schedule it for like 3 hours typically, but it usually only goes for like 2.5. We kind of get sick of Cyrodiil after a little bit, but it's fun when it's fun. Like when there's other guilds to fight or when there's like big Zergs on, but sometimes neither of those are available, so I think it's kind of boring.
Right before the hardware like upgrade, I mean, there was times where I was like, is this it for me? Like, am I done? Am I not coming back? And it's happened multiple times. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely points that it's just like, yeah, I don't want to do this anymore. If performance was like spot on, I think PvP would just thrive, and I think more groups would show up, and I don't know. I hope it doesn't go back to before the hardware upgrade.
Yeah. What's the like player retention like? If you do lots of players come and go, or do you have players that are there for years and years?
Yeah, I would say like a lot of guilds definitely do come and go, and a lot of players definitely do come and go as well. I think there's a lot of ball groups that have been playing for a while that typically stay. Like there's people that are like really they religiously follow the same schedule, and they have been for a couple of years now. So, but for the most part, yeah, a lot of people did leave because of the lag, and some came back, but not as many as you would think.
Really?
Yeah, so I mean the lag, like it was good, but I think like I noticed a lot more like small scalers in Cyrodiil than actual groups.
I mean, there's definitely been more groups popping out, but it's not like crazy, or at least like the old groups are coming back and their members are coming back a little. I don't know, for a while there, like it was literally like no groups at all. It was just like massive Zerg stacks. There was no one really to fight or anything. It was kind of dead.
Yeah, I remember it was about the time that Black Desert came out. I remember there was quite a few guilds left then to go and play that, and not all of them came back after that. It was probably like a good 6 months to a year where people... I think every time a new MMO comes out that has some promising PvP, I think it does draw players away, at least for a little bit, but they always do seem to come back to ESO. There is definitely something unique about ESO PvP in Cyrodiil. Even when it's laggy, it's still one of the best ones out there.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's just the combat, right? Like if you, if you do play in a ball group, I think that's an experience you can't get in really any other MMO. Like it's extremely challenging and very high APM, but it's still like really interesting, unique gameplay, I guess.
Yeah.
I played like Guild Wars for a little, but even if you look at that game, like it's nothing compared to the. It's kind of like the same idea with like 3 factions fighting each other, but it's just like Zerg on Zerg. It's no room for improvement individually necessarily. On a smaller scale, like say like with ball groups, like 12 men and stuff. I mean, there's nothing really else out there that provides this.
God, my memory of Guild Wars 2 PvP is just everyone smacking a door with a sword, which just looks so dumb. It's weird.
There's a lot to unpack here, from performance to... Well, actually, why don't we start here? Ball groups. What does that mean? Well, I know what that means, but like a lot of people probably listening probably don't know what that means. Like
groups with balls.
Well,
yeah.
As I remember it or understand it, ball group just means a group that balls up to, like literally moves like a ball, like really tight,
together,
like a stack, just moving across. And I don't know if you've seen them in action, Ollie. Like 2 ball groups going at it against each other. It's so. In a way, it's really beautiful. Like it's just kind of like, no, I'm serious. Like,
I find it intensely irritating.
The movements of 2 ball groups in conjunction with one another look so serpentine, like so smooth. I don't know how to describe it. Oh, if you're in the middle, you're fucked, right? But, but like just watching, it's like, oh wow, it looks cool in a way. But then I feel like a lot of people in zone chat fucking hate ball groups or something. Or forum people hate ball groups. And I'm like, how can you hate them? It's just a coordinated group. And then, of course, the accusations of cheating and stuff like that. So, what makes a ball group successful? Like, what is it to you? I guess. Like, how would you explain it to a new player, a person that doesn't like ball groups?
I would say teamwork has got to be the biggest thing, of course. I mean, you've got 12 people, so if you have a couple people not doing what they're supposed to do, we'll die. Especially like in a top lore fight or anything like that. Like you've got tons of people just casting random stuff on you. You've got siege everywhere. You might have an enemy raid in the key. You gotta have communication. You gotta have teamwork. Builds definitely help out, but you could have the best builds in the game. That doesn't mean you're gonna be successful. You've gotta have a good group of people that can work together, communicate, accomplish the bigger goal for sure.
Right. Yeah, and I think another big thing is like chemistry between the guild as well, because you'll notice like a lot of Newer guilds, they'll kind of start running in there, like a group of people that haven't really been friends before that. And I think, groups that have known each other for a while and they've been friends for a while typically also they just perform better, I think. It's probably the same thing in PvE too as well.
PvE, like if like a tank and a healer that play together, they're going to play way better than people that have just met, just because they understand each other's differences and how they play and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm sure that's got to be important in PvP as well.
Yeah,
I mean, if you've got people that can anticipate and have been in a situation, in certain fights more than one, you're more likely to come out on top. Hey, we're going to do this push in this certain area, and if everybody knows that push in that certain area, they know where to go, they know where to cast their things, they know where not to go, etc., etc.
Right.
Group dynamics and just understanding what's going on and stuff definitely helps out a lot.
I guess liking each other helps too.
Sometimes we don't like each other, but
well, I'm curious about this. It doesn't really happen that often anymore. Well, sometimes it does, but very rarely nowadays. But is there any drama in endgame PvP or ball group scene, or does everyone kind of understand each other? Or...
I would say for the most part, there's not really any drama. I think guilds get really competitive sometimes. I think it's healthy. At the end of the day, it makes people want to actually come out and do better each raid. And sometimes maybe it gets a little bit toxic, but I think for the most part, it's not too bad.
How do you feel about faction swapping? If people fall out, do they go and start playing blue instead of red or something? How do you resolve conflicts?
So I think typically guilds just kind of play a faction depending on what is the least populated faction.
Right.
So I mean, really the only times that we've swapped was just when yellow was the biggest faction, and now red's kind of becoming the biggest factions. We were thinking about swapping to yellow, but yeah.
We used to run full red, and we just never switched. Then we eventually went to DC because DC was kind of dying. We've kind of stuck with it though. There's not much going on. It's probably stick with it.
Okay. What's it like being in a ball group or during the action? I don't know if you saw this, Ollie. I saw a Twitch clip recently of I think it was you, Captain Morgan. I think Yui shared it. I don't know if you guys know Yui.
Yeah.
He shared a clip and it was fucking intense. It was you guys are going across the suspended bridge.
Oh yeah.
And you were steamrolling people. There's so many callouts and that looks really fun. What's it like? I guess as either a raid lead or a participant.
Raid lead is stressful. And always having to think ahead. You can't stop. My raid lead style, I say things multiple times over and over again really fast. Reason being to help my group communicate with each other without missing calls. And it's just you gotta keep a pace. If you don't keep a pace and you don't keep moving, you die. I would say for someone that was about to join a ball group or something, say our raid, it's really hectic and probably very hard to keep up with, just because there's all these calls and people are calling out enemy groups and bad siege, and it's organized chaos basically is probably the best way to say it, at least in my opinion. There's a lot going on, but once you've done it for a while and you understand what's going on in the calls and stuff, it has a good flow to it, and you can pick it up. I would want to say fairly quickly. Just in the beginning, it's going to be hectic. There's going to be a lot of shit going on that you probably don't understand. It's a lot of fun. Like I said, there's a rhythm to it when your group is all on point. Moving from this point to that point and killing people here and then going down there. It's amazing. So much fun.
Do you have different roles assigned to different people in terms of calling stuff out? Do you have someone calling out sieges, someone calling out ultis, or is it all down to that one raid leader?
Go ahead.
Go ahead, sorry.
So I would say, like, for, you know, ultis and stuff, like, you want to keep track of your negates. So you could have, like, ulti lead. So, like, someone who keeps track of negate. You know, you could have someone on Destro. If you have, you know, just multiple sets of ultis, you can definitely have someone organize it. When it comes to, like, siege and stuff like that, like, if you see it, it's definitely, like, a call thing. You know, because the best thing about, like, 12 people versus 88 people, well, those 12 people are in comms together, so like, if someone sees it and calls it out, you can avoid it. You gotta be able to communicate, so if someone sees it, like, just go. It's better to save the whole raid than to be quiet and not say it, in my opinion. Completely wipe.
Yeah, a big thing is like communicating siege bubbles as well and stuff like that. Because I think siege is probably like the biggest issue for groups while pug farming right now. I know we were having a fight at Glade, the Glade Miss Keep a couple of weeks ago, and we didn't put a siege bubble on the 3rd floor doorway. And when we went through the doorway, we got hit by like 5 cold stone trebs, like all in the same spot. It just instantly killed our entire raid. So that was fun. But yeah, siege is definitely a big thing to communicate.
So, do you ever like have to ask people to clear comms? In PvE, we often have to because people often like, I don't know, for say random shit for some reason, we have to say, "Oh, clear comms, please," or is that like not needed?
Like I actually, it's like the opposite for us. I actually encourage people to speak. I don't know. I think there's something to like a really, you know, chaotic, like hectic call. You know, I think it like kind of gives people like a different energy and makes them play better, in my opinion. So I always encourage people to talk more and yeah.
I would say, like, if it's not part of the task at hand, so like say we're like on a top floor and people are talking about random crap that doesn't matter. Yeah, the comms need to be. I mean, when we're in a fight, usually it's pretty smooth. Everybody knows what's going on. Like Soviet said, like communication is big. Like, I'd rather have someone call something out that was wrong than not call it out and could have saved the raids. Comms are really big. As long as it's on the task at hand, like it's worth saying regardless. What's up? What's going on?
Yeah.
Now that we've kind of talked about like kind of the front end of a PvP WoW group, what about the back end, the logistics, like the organization of it? In PvE, you know, like I often make these raid comp videos for PvE, usually every other patch. Oh, like here's why you need to bring 7 Nightblades and 1 Templar and blah blah blah. Your supports need to be DK. Is there something like that? I know there's something like that because there's like a few spreadsheets lying around that I consulted when I made this video about PvP ball group compositions, and I was like, there's so much shit actually that's a lot more open than PvE because there's so many sets out there. But also PvE, it's kind of like, okay, you just need to kill a boss. PvP, it's kind of like you need to kill everyone, make sure everyone has the same buffs, debuffs, make sure you're also surviving, make sure you're also somehow moving. So how much work is that?
So we definitely do have comps that are like pretty in depth, I would say. We usually like break it up into 3 roles. So it's like DD, support, and then healer. And the DDs are usually for the most part the same. It's usually just Stam, Wardens, and Mag Nightblades. So it's like pretty universal. I think like most guilds use those. But then like for supports and healers, it's kind of like an even mix, I guess. Like typically people will run Sorks on healers, but they still kind of follow like a support role, I guess, since they still use the negate ultimate. You know, we'll have like siege bubble on some of them, but they're still kind of a healer, you know. And then typically we keep the Dragon Knights off the healers. We put them on like the support, so it's not a horrible healer, but you know, it's not the most useful. And then you do want to, you know, make sure you're hitting like certain goals, I guess, and that's just like things like having, you know, a certain amount of necros in group and stuff like that.
Okay, but everyone's healing though, right? From what I know, like everyone is off healing usually, right? Some sort of heal.
Majority, but no. I mean, I can tell you right now, I don't run any heal.
Okay.
I got too much shit going on. I ain't.
Yeah,
I got the parts.
That's,
I got the parts.
Proxy debt and whirling blades. That's all you need.
They've been trying to get me to put vigor on my knife blade for like probably a year now. I will not do it.
Okay, interesting. All right.
If someone's like not there for the evening, do you have to adjust your whole composition?
Right,
or
yes.
do you,
Roster
Yeah.
prog, yeah.
do you like fit? Do you have to say, "Oh right, we're looking for a I don't know, like a negate sort running Dark Convergence and Vicious Death," or is there like a very set, specific role for each single slot in your group that you need to make sure that it's there?
Yeah, so I mean, you know, we make a comp for 12, and then if like say we're missing like Sork, we can either go like, hey, do we really want that second Nick, or do we want a Necro? Like, we definitely have to talk about it and figure out what is more important, what helps the survivability of the. You know, when you start going down in people, you know, survivability is the biggest thing, and then in turn you might like suffer like maybe a damage or maybe an extra negate or something like. There's definitely adjustments. Like, you can't just make a comp and then have 2 people missing and just still roll that comp. Like, it's not going to be successful. You have to make adjustments. You have to compensate for those missing people.
Right, yeah, like a big thing that we recently tried doing was instead of just only having 12 people in our main raid, like we actually tried getting like 15. And then I just kind of, we kind of have been working on making our supports and healers have like multiple roles, so that if someone isn't there, we can pull one of the subs and they can play this role, but someone else from our raid can play, you know, whatever we're missing, I guess.
It's really nice to have like multiple people being able to do multiple roles. Like you, like if someone's not available, like they're able to switch. So we personally encourage people to at least have like two different tunes available, whether that's like 2 healers or a healer and a DD, or a DD and a support, or whatever combo. Like, it's definitely nice to be able to have people switch and do all that stuff to help cover those issues when you have people missing.
Yeah, I mean, how did the group size change? You know, when it used to be 24 and now it's 12, did that affect a lot? Like, did you end up running 2 groups, or has it always been that you have a group of around 12 anyway?
Like, usually guilds, like, so before the group change, I think guilds, you know, they'd go up to like 16 or 14, but typically never really above that. I mean, it's mostly been 12. I think like the group size change hurt like the
Big guild.
like the Zerg, yeah, they hurt them like more than us. Really, like we just had to drop a few people, but you know, those groups, they lost like half the raid. That sucks.
Isn't there a guild? I've heard rumors. Isn't there a guild that like coordinates like upwards of 50 people in like comms or something?
What the?
It was like an EP. It's an EP guild, right? EP Evanhart something. I don't know.
Army of the Pact.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Like, is that considered a ball group? Or like
No.
Okay, so so kind of going back to the ball group thing. So what differentiates a ball group from something like that?
In my opinion, a ball group is, you know, 9, 10, 12 people.
Okay.
Not multiple groups. Like, it's definitely one singular group. I know everybody says any group is a ball group. It's not true. A reason being, like, you know, the more people you have, tends to be less coordination, less everything we just talked about, you know, going through builds, talking about comp, you know, looking at future patches and all that stuff. When you get bigger, you tend to lose out on a lot of it. So with more people in your group, per se, like running multiple groups, you have, I guess you could say, more room for error, more room for crap build, more room for people making mistakes. You know, when you have 12 people and you rely on those 12 people and you're in a keep that's unflagged and people can endlessly respawn to come and kill you, like, that's a ball group.
Okay. But interestingly, don't you gain more technically with more bodies, more support sets and stuff like that? And isn't there more room for mistake because there is so many more people?
I think there's actually like the inverse. I've found that like when the more people you add to your raid, like the less healing you have overall. That's like assuming that not everyone is playing perfectly right. Like typically it's we kind of require like healers to have like a high uptime on radiating, but everything else is it's not going to be like, you know, perfect. So the more people you add, it's dividing the amount of total healing you have between everyone. So I actually, you know, I find that like if we have a scuffed comp one day, where we have like 2 rolls that aren't perfect, I would rather just like cut them off and then run 10, because we would be better off, I think, without the 2, I guess, if that makes sense.
Okay, I guess in a way that makes sense. You know, I sometimes hang out with 1vxers, and they tell me like they play better alone, because if you get them into a group with other 1vxers, and you would presume like they would all like outclass any other group because they're skilled, right? But apparently like they're more comfortable like in that setting, in the group setting, like they allow themselves to make mistakes, I guess, or like start depending on people. I don't know if that's like the same thing, but I guess I can see kind of the logic in that.
Right.
I don't know.
I've actually found that PvEers have been the most successful ball groupers, I guess, when you you know, if you were to take like a 1vxer and put them in a group, or a PvEer and put them in the group. You know, like Red and Colmar, like we recently, like a year ago, I guess, put them in guild, and they've been inviting their friends to play with us. And like the PvEers, like you guys just cast like so many abilities per minute, like with the light attacks and everything. Like it's kind of crazy. But they like perform really well, I find.
What was crazy to me when I started like in some ball groups was how like people just couldn't stack on crown, bro. I was like, why are you guys just not like, you know what I mean? Like the Rayleigh. No, it's I mean just like, I just didn't understand like why is it so hard for so many people to just stack on or follow crown. I don't know, just get an add-on, make the, I don't know, crown bigger or something. You know what I mean? Like, but people are just everywhere. I don't know why. That's so weird.
Right.
It's like, why not just follow crown? I don't know. But I guess it is harder than it looks.
I guess it's a lot of discipline, I guess. It does get kind of hectic sometimes.
Are you using add-ons? Like, do people still use Papa Crown and stuff like that?
How about RDK Group Tool? You guys still use that?
Yeah. RDK is like the Swiss Army knife of add-ons. It just has every single add-on packed into one. So if you have RDK, you have pretty much everything else.
How do you share? Does that share ultis? How do you do the ulti sharing?
Yeah, it shows an ulti. It's got, you know, synergy, cool,
Right.
you know, damage and healing me, all sorts of stuff.
What about Miats? Do people still use Miats?
Oh,
yes.
Oh man. So I guess now that we've talked about how ball groups work, and I don't know if you want to answer this, but what is the best way to kill a ball group? Because most people think legitimately you guys are cheating or exploiting or some shit. Just the same way they think endgame raiders cheat and exploit for a 2-minute world record or something, right? So like, how would you kill a ball group?
I've heard it's meat bags, but go on.
I heard it's siege. I mean, I've seen it. Like siege just completely, like, I think helps a lot.
Another ball group also works very well.
Another ball group.
Yeah.
It's mostly siege though.
Okay. So
any specific types of siege, like ice ball trebuchets, or like?
I would say like so like in the home keeps, like on DC side you have like Glade Mist, Rails, and Warden. They have like the 3rd floor, so stuff like oils isn't really very relevant. But on the inner keeps, they have the oil shelves, right? So you'll be going, you know, from the back flag to the sides, and you're just getting hit by oils constantly. To me, I think it's oils. Like if your siege levels drop off for a second and you take those oils on, like it's very noticeable because you heal. Yeah, because the stacking defile and then like the crazy damage they do already.
Yeah. How about like a Dark Convergence bomb? Because I've been playing it on EU recently, and I've killed a couple of ball groups. I'd say they're probably quite bad ball groups. They were all wearing the same tabard, and I killed like 8 to 10 of them in one go. They were coming in through the postern door, and I guess they hadn't quite loaded in. Like, is Dark Convergence? Because I feel like that was made as a set to kind of counter ball groups. But do you find it's something that does counter you, or do you find it's more to your advantage that you can use it?
It's way more to our advantage. When it first came out, it was so broken. It was too much. I wouldn't say like it helps kill ball groups. I mean, say if you're coordinated and stuff, and you catch like say my group off guard, you're running ultis or you got siege focus in this. Like, yeah, you could definitely get something accomplished with it. I wouldn't say that that's like gonna kill us. I would still say like siege is like the most pain in the ass. But yeah, like Dark Convergence was definitely more for the ball groups in my opinion. Like trying to kill, Zerg on Zerg fight, getting stacks of people.
Yeah. How about Plague Break as well? Do you still run purges? Are people purging, or are they using like those champion points that give you resistances when you're debuffed? So, like,
you actually can't purge anymore. It's pretty much gone from the game at this point. Plague is just it's bad.
I definitely remember in the old days people would run like Templar purge bots, and you'd have a rapid maneuver bot, and you'd have a purge bot, and like
speeder,
and then everyone else was healer or something.
Yep.
Well, that's good. You've got an extra slot now. You don't need a purge bot.
So you don't run purges now? Really?
Nope.
How do you get rid of the? I mean, like, how do you? What about oil? What
just
about
heal?
You just heal?
Yeah,
through it?
just heal. Just how to heal it.
Yeah, there's those champion points now, like in the red tree, isn't there? Or sustain.
Pain's Refuge.
Pain's Refuge.
So that's really fucking interesting. I wasn't aware. So, and that's because of Play Break. That's it.
Yeah.
So
if you have like one person, like we tend to hit like back keys and stuff, we get away from our faction. But say if we push like a frontline group and one Templar puts down a ritual and someone hits that ritual and it purges the plague, like everyone's just gonna die. So if someone's running curse randomly, even though nobody should be, like you're gonna die.
Yeah, I remember when Plague Break came out and I was healing on a Necro, and there's that like AoE purge you can do on people.
Renewing.
Yeah. I was using that on people in the RAM, and they were all exploding and dying, and I was like, what the hell is going on? Well, I'm trying to heal these people and they're just dying.
And you're killing them.
It was me killing them, yeah. But I mean, that is, so I've know a couple of like PvP groups on EU. They get very angry at like the general population of Cyrodiil for killing them with like Vicious Death and what's that other champion point? Like, so like, I guess So I guess to counter that is why you're going deep into enemy territory to like counter that, or is it just for that, or do you like to? So there are some bull groups that hang out with like the main Zerg and try and push that.
That's not a bug.
Really? Even if they're like stacked together?
No.
So you see a bull group around a Zerg.
No, that's not a
What if there are 9 people in the group?
Yeah, there's 9 people in the group stacking on crown and like running into the tower. Is that not okay? Interesting.
So for the reason for like pushing backlines and stuff, like it's obviously to challenge ourselves, but yeah, it eliminates like Pug and other random groups kind of coming in and killing us and doing all that stuff. Yeah,
I'm still really fascinated by the whole Plague Break thing, actually. That you just heal. No, I'm serious. So the reason why I'm fascinated is because ZOS has had this history, going as far back as 2015, right? They always seem to have a distaste for organized PvP in the sense that, well, it affects their servers quite server performance a lot, at least pre-server hardware update, right? And they always introduced these bonkers item sets and skills. Remember proxy death buffs? They thought proxy death buff would kill the ball groups, but then it turned into at 1v1 tournaments in 2015 or 2016. people were using proxy.net in a 1v1 because how strong he got. And then ball groups started using proxy.net, proxy.net trains, right? And then the item sites, right? Even like the dark conversions or whatever were to the benefit of the ball groups. So when you say Plague Break is like has finally nailed it, has finally like addressed maybe the ball group issue in some ways.
So I think it's funny that you mentioned that, because I actually think that ball groups are stronger after. It's kind of weird like how it works, because before Plague Break, most groups would only run like 3 healers, 4 healers, and their supports didn't do much healing. But now after Plague Break that you can't purge, groups are running like 5 healers, 6 healers, so they have way more healing in general. And with the Pain's Refuge CP, like you can get up to 20% damage mitigation. I would say like the only time that ball groups are worse off than they were when we had Purge was when you have like 20 oils on you, right? Because you can't get them off you. But like, I would say like now, like groups are just way tankier in my opinion. Like it's really hard to kill organized groups now, especially like if they have a good comp as well with like good healing ultimates and stuff. So they're definitely way tankier.
So Plague Break didn't help address the issue.
No, Plague Break was just kind of like an annoying thing. It actually hurts the pugs worse.
Oh god, okay.
Yeah,
so
Plague Break
didn't. Okay, interesting. Okay, so Vicious Death didn't help either, by the way, right? Remember Vicious Death? They buffed Vicious Death. Remember? Or they brought Vicious Death into the game, and then oh, look at that, ball groups are using it. Okay. And remember the whole GCD testing that they did on the I was on live, and they thought that would also help kill ball groups, but in actuality, if you have more people, right? It's like, or I don't know, like did that address ball groups?
I still remember when they did when they made it so your group cap was like 6 or something, and groups were running around with like 2 groups of 6. It was actually so difficult.
I personally did not like the test at all.
Why?
I wouldn't.
Double AP for like 8 weeks. It was great.
Well, my issue with the test was it was stupid because you're changing the entire combat system for what? For performance, but then it was like, oh, it didn't work out. Okay, cool, whatever. We tried.
I mean, obviously, I like the no out of group heal, but I get why they brought it back. Solo healers running around want to be able to heal people and stuff like that. That was probably the only thing I like. It's probably a good thing they brought it back, even though when you're being chased by 60 people, it kind of sucked.
I really liked the no cross healing. I know a lot of people I know didn't like it. Not a lot, actually. A few. But, like, it made sense to me. I feel like that helps with the server performance in a lot of ways. That's less ticks on less people.
Yeah.
And it's healthier in some sense for, in the communal sense. Like, why would you not join a group? Why would you not join a guild? You know what I mean?
Kind of forces you
right,
to,
exactly.
Hey, let me actually get in and do something in this, following the front line.
Like this
Although if they were going to do that, they would have had to have kept it at 24 players, because I think 12 would have been a bit harsh, maybe.
Well, the 12 thing was also for performance, if you recall, and they kept it.
Yeah. But I don't know.
But I don't know if that
made it better? I don't really know.
Well, they nerfed the dolmen groups, that's for sure.
Yeah. in the Zergs, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the cross healing change during the or whatever the test they were doing was the only one that actually had an impact on the server. Like all the other ones, it was kind of still laggy, but you could only cast like one type of ability, every however long. It was kind of rough.
We might as well talk about it. Oh, sorry, go on.
I was just gonna say, if they were to do like skill cooldowns and stuff like that, it would take away from the game. That was one that I did not like. Like, there's just no flow to the game. Just like, I cast something, okay, I can cast this other. Just slowed it down and made it kind of boring, in my opinion.
Yeah, and it made the classes very imbalanced. I remember everyone started playing like stamina gank blades because they were the only ones that like didn't have any dots or whatever it was.
Yeah.
Well, might as well talk about where on this topic. Performance. So I've been meaning to make a YouTube video about server performance for a bit, but I haven't had the time in the past 2-3 months because I've heard so many good things about the server hardware update. It fixed lag apparently on PCNA, and I heard Deltia and like other people like talk to me, like they were telling me like, oh, there were these 3 ball groups and I could roll dodge, I could block, I could cast skills. I'm like, well, you're fucking fully my, you're fucking pregnant, bro. Shut the fuck up. But then, like, I didn't go into Zerodead yet, but people just keep telling me, oh, it's fixed. I'm like, oh, wow, that's fucking impressive. So, and I've been, like you guys said earlier, I think newer groups are kind of forming. I know some PvEers actually, from my own guild, they're looking into PvP next patch, and they want to, like, they're joining these new wall groups I've never heard of, with these new people I've never heard of. So do you think, like, how's it been? Is it actually fixed for you, like, for PvP, performance wise?
It's when they release the hardware upgrade or whatever, it was definitely a night and day difference.
Okay.
We were shocked. It was amazing. Recently it's been kind of creeping back. I don't know if it's because, like,
How?
PTS was up, or they're doing some random crap they don't need to be. I don't know.
It's getting dusty already.
just
They need
more
to clean it
Yeah.
up.
Yeah, very slight, but you could tell it's kind of slowly creeping back.
It's still better though. Like, it is still better.
You think that's to do with, like, the amount of people, maybe? I mean, someone told me, like, they were in number 59 queue for Zerodead, Grey Host the other day, and that was like a weekday. And I'm like, oh, okay. Maybe, or do you guys not think it's like the amount of people?
Well, I mean, in Zero, it's the same. It's the same amount of people when it's pop.
Right.
I wouldn't. I mean, I would really hope not that the server would go to shit when people, like, a ton of people are queued. It wouldn't make any sense. But who knows? It just, there's, like, bugs like rollback, slow bugs and stuff that happen. I know we've, like, at least in my group, have noticed definitely more of those happening. Where before, like, right after the hardware drop, it was like, no issues. I can CC break on time. Like, CC breaking multiple times over and over again. That's kind of creeping back a little bit.
Yeah. I'm also partly asking because some EU players have asked me. I don't know what answer to give them, but I just told them what other people told me. Like, if the server hardware update fixed PvP for PCNA. I think a lot of people are looking forward to it on EU.
I feel bad for that. I still haven't got it yet.
Yeah, we still get the like the slow motion bug. Do you guys get that?
Oh yeah.
Where you're like walking around. It looks like you're walking in like fudge or treacle or something. It's like really.
Dude, that shit's crazy.
Moonwalking.
Did physics break again this year for Mini Mayhem? Well, not Mini. White Strix Mayhem. Like when you like falling really slow.
Yeah. All that
physics,
stuff,
the gravity breaks.
I have a clip of that where we were at, like, an 80 scroll gate and we were on top and everything was slow and we all just dropped off the 3rd floor of the gate and we're all just like, you'd see us like skip down and then stop and then skip down and stop and skip down. Such a bad bug, dude. That hasn't been happening a whole lot. Sometimes there's like the speed mechanic. It kind of gets a little wonky sometimes and you feel slow, but you do have, like, say, rapids or whatever. It is a little wonky, but it's definitely not where it was, where you'll be inside a or, falling off a wall and you're just, like, slow-mo, can't do anything. It's definitely better than that, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, fingers crossed we see that on EU sometime this year. It'll be nice.
I don't think it would help you guys, though, at all.
Really?
Well, okay, EU has at least triple the population of NA, for sure. Plus, your time zones are more condensed, meaning everyone logs on and plays usually at around the same time, right? For the most part. Yeah. Meanwhile, NA has more of a spread in terms of time zones, from the East Coast all the way over to Asia, right? So it's more dispersed. So I don't know if a server hardware upgrade would help EU. I think it would just, like, whatever. It's like, okay, cool.
But didn't they say this hardware update wasn't going to help performance at all, and it did?
That's the craziest thing, in my opinion.
So maybe EU would have benefited a little bit.
Maybe.
I mean, that does make sense. They're, the time zones are all jam-packed together.
I didn't realize the server hardware was like 12 to 14 years old. That was crazy to me too. It was like, okay, because they never released that information before. Hey, you know, we got this 13-year-old hardware, and we're gonna
Might
update
want
it.
to fix it.
And I'm like, 13 years old, bruh. What was it? What was the number 13? I don't know what the number was. It was fucking ridiculous. So I was like, okay, that's really old.
People like replace their PCs after like 6 or 7 years, or at least some parts in it.
Well, I'm not like, I'm by no means an expert at game development or server management and stuff like that, but I would assume with 10 plus years, something is gonna degrade one way or another. Maybe, maybe I don't know.
I would definitely say yeah, probably.
But yeah, man, and I think a lot of people got. I think a lot of people had fun with that. Like they said, it wouldn't fix or do anything for server performance, but then it became like the best thing for PvP in like 7 years.
Yes. It was like when you can go to a front of the keep and get 20 out of 20 siege, and as soon as you pop on your siege and it fires, and you can go on your next siege, like that was just amazing. And that's not even like in a fight and skill.
Oh, yeah.
It was so nice being able to, like, when you CC, like it was done. You were up, you were moving, like it was smooth.
I find when you fire a lancer in lag, that's always very funny. Like one bolt comes out every second. Yeah. You can like run around the whole siege and then get back on it before it's even fired, like the third one.
What do you think they said that shouldn't? That wouldn't help. Maybe it would probably not help. Probably like not to get people's hopes up, right? Or like.
Yeah. So they wouldn't be disappointed in case it didn't work.
Well, if it worked, you know, cool. If it doesn't work, well, you know, whatever.
Yeah, you don't want to promise something that doesn't deliver. Definitely not.
Right.
I mean, that's kind of how I go through every patch where they're like, hey, this is gonna get better and we're gonna redo these calculations. No joke. Like I don't want to sound like an ass here. Like the first year I was like, I was like, yeah, this is gonna be great. They're gonna change this stuff. And then the last like 3 years, it's just like, don't care. Like whatever. If it fixes it, it fixes it. If not, it's just gonna be laggy as shit, and we're just gonna have to treat it as a mechanic in game.
But I think that's a good attitude to have with anything, really. Like all games that come out, they're usually unfinished and awful. So it's good to set your expectations low, I think, because then you'll only ever be impressed. You'll never be disappointed.
Unfinished.
Well, I don't know. No, like I say, but like like all these AAA games that come out, and like people say don't play them for like the first 3 months because they're just going to be terrible.
Right. Yeah, I hate that.
Yeah.
I guess speaking of updates and stuff, patch notes. What did the PvPers? What do you guys think about update 35 coming tomorrow? By the way, it's tomorrow.
Oh my gosh. I like ever since I read the patch notes the first time, I haven't really been keeping up with it, so I'm not 100% positive on like what they've changed and what they've reverted, but from the most part, like we try to stay positive, like it should be a fun patch, like whatever, but the patch in general seemed kind of I don't know, I thought it was dumb, to be honest.
Crazy. Yeah, I mean, for us, there might be like some few minor changes or something like that. There wasn't anything that caught our eyes that was like, oh my god, this is going to be crazy. I know they're changing like releasing a new set with like minor berserk that might be cool.
What did they do with all of the heal over time abilities? Because I know that they were going to make it they tick every 2 seconds, or did they revert that?
They reverted a lot of them, I think.
Okay, thank you.
I remember, Ollie, the sticky healing is still once every 2 seconds, right?
Yeah, but ground hunts are 1 second.
Ground hunts are once every 1 second.
Yeah, they like partially reverted it, yeah.
Yeah. Pretty dumb, but...
Yeah, I just don't see why, to be honest. They're just like weird changes. I think if they wanted to nerf... Because I think specifically they want to nerf radiating and vigor. Like you could just like nerf them. You don't have to make them take like every 2 seconds. It's so weird.
Or use Battle Spirit. I don't know.
Yeah, it's exactly.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It feels like it could be so much more done with Battle Spirit. Like.
Oh man. Oh, there were those sets, right? The first set that PvPers were very worried about was that set that took away a major buff or minor buff. You apply the major debuff or minor debuff to that target. They nerfed that, I think. Now it's a 15-second cooldown. And that's like, okay. I think that's what was asked for. Second set, though, that not everyone's talking about. Mara's Bomb. I think that'll be interesting.
too.
So, I'm going to bring it up here, actually. So, Mara's Bomb is a heal set, basically, or not a self-heal set. Let me look. That basically, when a negative effect is removed from you, restore 2,111 health. When you take damage and have 6 or more negative effects, cleanse all negative effects. The effect can occur once every 15 seconds.
Does it?
I remember. Yeah, I remember reading that.
Right?
I remember reading that. And I was like, wow, that set is actually gonna be useless in Zerodead because you would just explode to plague.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's so sad. That set actually seems really good.
Let's see.
The only way that set would be good is if it didn't proc Plague Break. And to be beneficial, like, probably have to have like a lot of people. Well, because it's only on the caster, correct, or the wearer. It's not.
Yeah. It's just
And
every person.
Yeah, so it's not like curse or anything like.
Here's what people found, though, from testing it. The item set not only applies to effects ending via cooldown or purge, but also people recasting. If you reapply poison injection, 1k heal. If you reapply embers before the effect ends, you get 2k. 1 for the dot, 1 for the burning status. You also heal every time you CC break or remove a snare. So it's not just for purge.
Oh, well, jeez.
Yeah. And I think people posted numbers of the heal. I'm trying to find the numbers real quick. Hold up, I think I see it. Well, yeah, I mean, it's definitely, I think, the oversight of it. Okay, here it is. In the span of less than a second, this person healed for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, at least 10k.
It's not broken.
Okay. There's no cooldown. So.
No cooldown, really.
No cooldown.
That reminds me of when 7th Legion, back in the day when that set was crazy.
God, yeah.
But yeah, overall, update 35. Yeah, you see anything that may affect PvP or your ball group activity?
The minor debuff and major debuff, like remove, all that stuff was gonna be more of an annoyance. Like you said, like they changed that. It's not anything too.
No.
Sub-assault change might be annoying. Just like we time out our proxies and stuff like that. So the timing on the sub-assaults and stuff like that is going to be a little different. It's nothing that really like caught our eyes that was game changing.
I think you'll definitely see a lot more activity though in PvP next patch for sure. A lot of PvEers are either quitting the game or gonna try out PvP next patch.
Yeah, they want to change, definitely.
Oh shit, you hope so?
Do you guys not like the new trial? Or?
I don't know. Do you want to explain this one, Ollie?
I mean, the new trial is pretty tough, and there's already like very few people that are able to do it well, especially on hard modes. So if like, I don't know, 50% of the people that could have done it have left the game, it's almost not worth playing anymore. So in the end, if people aren't going to enjoy the combat anymore, especially like damage dealers might not, the rotation might not feel as fun anymore. I think they'll want to change to something a bit more dynamic like PvP than doing a rotation where it's like 30-second dots and then just pressing button 1 100 times. At least with PvP, you've got a bit of movement and stuff like that to keep your fingers interested.
Right. I honestly didn't think about like the changes for PvE, the dot changes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So that does make it sound kind of boring.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's mainly the combat changes overall. Like the fact that it makes no sense in terms of their stated goal for content or combat accessibility as well. Like, it's been a wild PTS cycle. This is probably the PTS cycle that probably has changed the most from week 1 to 5. It's kind of crazy how much was reverted or changed or added. It's They're changing arena weapons as well. They're changing class skills and passives. It's a lot.
And there has sort of been kind of like a universal pushback, at least on social media. I've not really heard many people come out and say,
it's
they're
everywhere.
Really excited about this. Like,
yeah, it's everywhere. Reddit,
bizarre.
Forums, Twitter. Unfortunately, also the Facebook groups.
Facebook groups.
Never check the Facebook groups.
Don't check.
Even the boomers. Are
No, that
oh
the Facebook ESO space is literally the most toxic. Like, if you want to know what real toxicity is, all right, not some person's zone chat saying, oh, he's toxic, or some guy in the forums, oh, that guy was toxic, right? Go to the fucking ESO Facebook groups. you'll see real toxicity. Like, I'm serious. Like, I don't know. But anyway.
What about the role players over at Reddit? How are they taking it?
I have no idea.
People
I think
posting pictures of their outfits 24/7.
Well, I think the majority of people, I know some people who literally just engage mostly in fashion, but they also engage in combat, right? Because you need to do the achievements. How do you get to do the achievements? Combat, right? To get their dyes, and you have to do dungeons to get the motifs, blah blah blah, or even do something to get the gold, and that's usually 90% combat. Even some of them were saying this next patch is like, I'm not gonna play as much or quit. So it's like, I think the majority are in agreement here for once. From the best to the to probably like the people starting out, at least towards mid tier. So PvE is gonna be interesting.
I think it will swap. I think all the PvPers are gonna be like, PvP's ruined, I'm gonna go try PvE. And all the PvEers.
Oh hell no! Hell no!
What wait? Have you ever PvE?
Like, are you talking to me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, I mean, I've done trials and.
Okay.
I'm not like intense, crazy or anything. Running in a guild that runs it consistently, like a couple times a week or anything like that. But yeah, I've done trials. Like they're fun. If you got a cool group that's fucks around a little bit, jokes around, and accomplishes the goal, like it's definitely fun. For me though, like PvE just provides more, like what I'm looking for.
Right, like item sets and mythics. How do you guys feel about mythics? Like antiquity system must be fierce.
Oh, yeah, like having to go and, like, fish
Amazing.
and
Okay.
dungeons and shit. Okay.
Snow treaders, the godsend.
It's a cool idea. That like I'm definitely treaders are pretty awesome tool for sure.
But when a new set comes out and you find out it's in a dungeon, does your heart sink, or are you like, oh, it's fine, I get to do some dungeons? That's
right. Worst
interesting.
case,
Like
worst case scenario, right?
Like Crimson Oath came out, were you like, oh, awesome, I get to do a dungeon, or like, oh shit, I have to do dungeons?
I mean, 99 times out of 100, I'm usually not having to farm gear because I usually run pretty much the same. It's all the other people in my group that have to farm that shit.
Wow.
So good.
Wait, what are you running every patch? The same thing?
Just rewards for the worthy
I mean,
stuff.
like VD, Plague.
Yeah.
You can do like Acuity, Clever,
Okay.
stuff like that. I mean, yeah. So it usually doesn't change a whole lot. It's usually not like a great DPS set that's in a dungeon. At least recently, it's mostly crafted stuff or stuff that you can get in server.
What was that one where you like jump on people? Unleashed Terror? That was kind of interesting. Well, I guess not really for a bull group.
We actually we were running that set for like not that long, but we had it on the person in our raid that was streaking because the Unleashed Terror guaranteed the hemorrhage proc, right? And that gives you the minor mangle, and we had no way of procking minor mangle because we don't run impulse, so that was actually like a good way to get that debuff.
The sets I've seen ball groups use is kind of crazy. I've seen the ball group use Alkosh, and I'm like, okay.
never tried that one. But...
They use Olarim, don't they? I've seen PvPers use Olarim for Major Courage.
Yeah. But that's like standard, right?
SBC is better.
Oh, is it? Okay.
But yeah, I mean, we've buff sets, all that. Definitely run those.
I think you guys we should definitely like swap a bull group and a PvE trial group for one night and make them do each other's content just to see how they get on. That'd be really funny.
My raid would just be giving each other shit the entire time we would fail.
No, I feel like the PvE guild would like fail harder.
Oh yeah, I mean probably.
You think so?
I don't think
We can stack on crown. Shit.
I think I think they've got no discipline. I think they'll be like chasing a pass,
Huh?
zerging down one person because they're doing like
What do you mean?
there's a target on them or some shit, you know?
We'll be stacking on crown, bro. I don't want to hit y'all out.
I mean, there is a certain level of bad stacking when you get negated in Nova Dump. You're probably gonna die. Don't stack too hard.
So, in this, with going back to ball groups, right? What's the scene look like? Like, how many ball groups are there right now? You would say on PCNA?
I would say legit ball that kind of go off of what I said earlier.
Right.
What makes a ball group? Probably about 3 to 4.
3 to 4 ball groups.
Yep.
Yeah. There's not too many.
Okay.
As far as like serious raids go, I mean, you could probably get a few more than 4, but not many, to be honest.
So,
How many has there like ever been? Has there ever been like 6 or 7 running at the same time, or?
yeah.
Dude, we had a time like probably like a year ago when Drac was still raiding. It was a DC guild named Dracarys, where dude, you would log in and there would be like 10 guilds on at a time, you know, and I guess that's including like the big Zerg guilds, you know. We had another guild named Zan's Army on DC, and they used to run a lot of people as well. They would have like multiple 12-man groups. But yeah, recently not so many.
I remember a time when there were legit like 6 ball groups running at the same time on the same goddamn map years ago. Now it's like, you know, I'm assuming. Well, 3 to 4 isn't too bad. Honestly, the grand scheme of things. So 3 to 4.
I mean, so sad.
Yeah.
There's definitely like more groups rolling around, but they're definitely more, I want to say, casual or more front lines pushing. I have noticed some groups coming, maybe 1 or 2 newer groups pop in, but I mean, pushing front lines with your faction with, you know, 12, 24 isn't my sense an actual group.
Okay.
I'm so used to like pushing backline, relying on, you know, like the 9, 10, 11, 12 people I have, whatever, to do something, fight as many people as possible, get inside a keep, fight there as long as possible, try and reflag the keep, get the take, take the scroll, etc.
What's like the motivation to play it? Like, do you play for the campaign? Because I feel like
AP,
sometimes
brother.
is it
AP.
just
Yeah.
For me personally, I just play for the AP and like titles and shit. But
Yeah, I mean,
are you playing for
like-
the campaign? Do you actually try and win the campaign?
No, we actually, it's like the opposite. Our faction hates us because we always take scrolls and we never run them back. Like, they get really upset.
Who cares about scrolls like in 2022, bro? Like, what the fuck?
We are definitely #1 enemy for the Ebonheart Pact, even though that's our faction.
Interesting. Okay, so even though you win the fights, the faction still doesn't like you because the faction cares more about the campaign.
Yeah, they just want the scrolls.
What would make you want to play for the campaign?
Nothing.
Oh, that's a good question, actually. What would make you want to play?
Oh come on, whether it's like a
For
1
the
million
faction.
gold for like the top player or some shit, I don't know.
Like, the thing is like, I think for most like competitive groups, it's never been about like the reward. Like, they say that ball groups play to farm AP, but I haven't cared about AP in like 4
It's
years.
all about the fight.
It's all about the fights, yeah.
About
Like,
the fights, okay.
if they could somehow create a system where you know, it like promoted more people to go to like the same areas, and like that would generate more points for your faction, I think that ball groups would be more inclined to do stuff like that, because I think most of us are just in it for the fights.
Okay. So you wouldn't care. So you don't care for a reward system that would reward like ball groups or something like that.
I think like most of our raid is Grand Overlord at this point. Like, we don't even really look at stuff like that anymore.
Have you played Tales of Tribute recently? or like at all?
I
No,
have actually never played Tales of Tribute.
Okay, so they added really fucking cool rewards to Tales of Tribute.
Really?
They're like rewards for the worthy, but better.
Yeah,
They got like crafting materials and useful shit.
Yeah, it's basically what should have happened with VGs/Cyrodiil/Trials.
every reward
Yeah, they
box should be as good
okay,
as...
so, like I guess so you can get like furnishing stuff. You can get like gold. You can get transmute. You can get fucking anything, right?
Alchemy ingredients you can't be bothered to farm.
Yeah, exactly. Dragon room, right? So like, what if there was something like that for Zerodead, or like you still wouldn't fight for the faction, right?
It would kind of depend on the fight, because that's like what I go off. But if they did, I really think of the rewards of the worthy system as kind of shit in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's just like you get one item of transmute crystal and maybe a port stone. It's not a really good system in my opinion.
Yeah, like after about like 2 months of doing that, you've got everything and there's nothing else you need. There's no benefit to it anymore.
Yeah, and like the mid-year stuff where you get the boxes and you can get all these cage and cold fire and yeah, like some different type of system, something a little bit more rewarding would be really cool. I still think even if they made it really worth play the campaign and stuff like that, I would still probably go for fights over that. Just because that's what we've been doing so long. Like,
so how do you fund your like gear and consumables? Like, are you selling AP for potions and then selling the Alliance spell draft or whatever? Or how do you gather your stuff for your builds?
I mean, at least for me, like I know when PvP was kind of down before the server upgrade or whatever, the hardware, I was selling a lot of like the AP, like I think it's motifs and stuff like that. They were selling really high. You can sell like gold jewelry's on the gold vendor each weekend. So if you find something that sells pretty well, you can hold on to it for a while. I usually hold on to it for like 3 to 6 months and just pop it up or start selling it. You can sell the potions and stuff like that too.
Yeah. So you're already completely self-sufficient just by doing PvP? You never need to go and start like trading or...
I think PvP is like economically in its own bubble.
Yeah.
Self-sustained.
I think that's good though, that people, if you don't enjoy PvE and you just want to do PvP, it's good that you can, fund your raids and all your gear and consumables just by doing the thing that you enjoy doing.
It also kind of depends on which people are running multiple different builds and on multiple different tunes. It could get pretty pricey. I know there are some people, at least in our guild, I know even in Soviet's guild, that run PvE and do all that stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say like we don't go out and do other things, but at least for me, I'm good.
I was gonna say one of our members just hit it big. He finished a Godslayer carry, so he got like a pretty big cut for that. So we were all asking him for pots for.
Wait, Godslayer carry probably did in our server. Who was it?
It was a Goldmar Avocado.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, so.
Then that makes it very difficult to find something that would be rewarding for PvP players if they're already self-sufficient.
Yeah.
So I have a question actually, while we're on like sort of an economic topic. It's often said, and I still don't know if it's true at all, by the way. It's often said that the reason why the devs don't care about PvP, right, or is perceived to not care about PvP, is because PvPers are not high consumers of crowns and like real money purchases. I'm curious, like, do you guys purchase crowns or like spend a lot of money on the game? I know some PvPers spend a shit ton of crowns, so I'm just kind of curious if that's maybe like even anecdotally true.
You don't really need the craft bag, I guess, if you're just in PvP. So ESOU plus you probably don't need. So yeah, go on.
They just like don't have any. They don't really have that many ways to monetize Cyrodiil. Like people say that it's because PvPers don't spend money on the game, but there's not really anything to buy, like outside of crown crates, you know. Whereas for
Alliance change tokens, I guess.
yeah, something like that, you know. But for everyone else, it's like you know, they have all these housing items and they have all these houses and these like multiple streams of income for ZeniMax. I think if you know, I don't want to say if they added stuff that it would be different, but I think that's one issue, I guess.
If you get a cool pet, you can't take it into Sarah.
Yeah, exactly. That's another.
True.
You've got your Radiant Apex mounts, though. I guess ball groups, you don't really see their mounts very often.
I mean, from keep to keep. But other than that, yeah, like, there's nothing you can really get. It's like, you know, like what, like motifs and stuff. It's kind of whatever. I mean, I've definitely bought like crown crates and stuff before.
Yeah.
For that mount or something, so I can use that. But there's, like Soviet said, there's nothing really in it for PvPers that we can use on a consistent. Visually make it different.
If you made use of the multi-rider mount, I've found that quite funny.
Oh, yo! Have you guys used that? Actually?
Yeah, we had one of our members level. Sorry if I'm cutting out, but we had a member who leveled a new character in their mount. She was like level 5 or something. So we had someone just like, you know, chauffeuring them around Cyrodiil the entire raid.
It's useful for that for sure.
What if you had 6 people though? Wait, will you ever do it? Like you have 6 people with the dual, you know, the 2-person mount, and then you guys just go in the 12-person ball group with 6 mounts?
Dude, the horse, it's expensive. It's like 5,000 crowns. Isn't it?
Wait for the Dwemer spider. Wait for the Dwemer spider. But would you do it just as a like? I don't know. I think it'd be fucking funny. It's only 6 people. Oh, it's 12 people.
We talked about doing that, but most everybody else is waiting for something a little bit better than the horse. No offense to anybody who got it.
Yeah. I'm waiting for the Dwemer spider personally. Maybe, yeah, probably. Dude, what if they made like a 12-person Wamasu mount? You know what I mean?
Oh,
that would
man.
actually be
hell yeah, dude.
Like a drop ship or something, yeah, that'd be great.
A drop ship?
A dragon, yeah. Turn it into a battle royale, Cyrodiil. That'd be amazing.
Should. Before I ask this next question, what do you guys think about on map rewards, kind of in the sense like Volendrung? Do you guys like Volendrung or?
It's trash.
It's trash, really?
Oh, really?
I mean, I personally don't like. I wish, like, I don't know if this is like exactly what you're asking, but I wish that they would use more of the map and put more objectives on the map, because like unless we have like a scroll, or unless we have hammer, or just some weird thing going on, like there's so many awesome terrain and just so much in Cyrodiil that could be used, and it's always just like from one keep to another. It's all the transit line. You always fight on the transit lines, and it gets a little redundant and boring. If they could, you know, like the outposts, the 3 outposts that they added were pretty cool, but it's just kind of meh. I wish they would add like some more town objective, or like something to where you could get like a personal buff for your vet, and if you take this area for 10 minutes or 20 minutes or whatever, and just utilize more of the map. Just there's so many cool places there that just don't get used ever because there's no reason to fight there, you know?
Yeah.
The Cyrodiil questing community is heartbroken. You just said that.
So, how would those objectives look, in your opinion? Like, do you have any ideas? Like, you know, sometimes devs watch the stream, so maybe.
I mean, it could be like the towns, but it could be different. It could be basically like a capture the hill type of thing.
Okay.
Just
they
something
have
like
other
that.
Games, yeah. Like, have you ever played like Planet Side and stuff like that? Like big PvP games they've got.
But how do you
like
incentivize going to that objective?
A faction buff for a certain amount of. It could be.
Like
it could be more AP.
Yeah.
It could be 5% damage. It could be. It could literally be anything. You know, and you can have, 3 to 6 towns throughout, like, in the middle of fucking nowhere, and the reason to go there. And it could be like, where a message where like if someone picks up, or it's like hammer, like it could just say like, hey, this outpost is ready to be, like, and this is the buff it provides. you know, and hopefully it would incentivize people to do that, because it's all just like transit lines. Like there's so many amazing, just fantastic places to fight that aren't being utilized, and the only way for us to personally get those fights is to have a scroll or have a hammer, you know, because people want to come and get that.
Right. Yeah. I mean, the big thing is also like motivating people to actually PvP instead of just like siege from like a safe spot. You know, it's not as simple as like, you know, just having a scroll. Sometimes you'll find that like you're in a keep at the 3rd floor and you look out to the outside wall and there's like 15 people sitting there, you know, just left clicking on their ballistas at you and
watching Netflix at the same time, not paying attention.
Yeah.
That was really specific. Do you know someone who does that?
I can think of a certain
That's
group,
me,
but
100% in Zerodead.
we won't name them.
Spill the tea. Who's a certain group that watches Netflix and ballistas from the wall? Oh, man. I guess, yeah. I mean, I think, but although, you know, Zerodead is beautiful. Like, it's actually my favorite zone out of all the zones still. Number 2 being Rothgar. But Zerodead is so big. You know what I mean? You would have to be really heavy incentives for someone to, like, let's say a level, or CP 300 player with a dogshit mount to ride out all the way out to that middle of nowhere objective. That does give you the incentive to go there. Like, I don't know what kind of incentive that would be besides like on-map buff that they potentially don't even care about. Maybe, I don't know.
There's definitely some that would incentivize people to actually do it, but will it actually be done?
I think if there was a good system, yeah, I think it'd be done. I don't think even the devs know how to incentivize people going to middle of nowhere, you know.
It's the same thing we come back to in PvE, is that the incentive system throughout all of ESO, I think, maybe needs a bit of
huge work.
Yeah.
Revamp. Yeah.
I mean, if you made it so these objectives around the map counted towards campaign score, it would definitely draw people. I think that's the biggest motivator for pretty much everyone that regularly plays Zerodead outside of ball groups.
Yeah. Like extra AP for me as well. Like, yeah, you know, hold a town for 10 minutes, get 10k AP or something. Yeah. Sounds good.
Earlier, you guys mentioned there's only like 3 to 4 ball groups. What are their names, including yours? I'm assuming.
So, Tier, Cutest Boys, Royal Marine, Areas 51. I've seen them around a little.
Areas 51.
Nefarious now.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, which is the best one?
I think that every guild does something. So, like, there's like guilds that.
Look at this political answer. What the heck? So, okay. Let's say we put these 3 to 4 guilds up against each other in a series of matches. Like, who would win? Like, ultimately, like, come out on top, in your opinion? Or do you think it'd be a tie?
I think it would be between Soviet and myself.
Okay.
We've been so we try to like raid on like the same days. So we have like definitely very good fights. Like there are some raids where we get shit on, you know, and there's some raids where, you know, we have like good fights and stuff. But it's really back and forth. It's actually really fun. It's really just kind of boring when you go into Zerodead and every guild is kind of just like a stomp. So it's definitely nice, like having tier in Zerodead.
Has there been a GVG recently or not?
We tried like we tried like probably 6 months ago. I think we got like some people to show up, but like there's just not a lot of interest in GVG in general. Like people, like most ball groups are more interested in like pug farming, which is fine. You know, like pug farming's fun, but it's just hard to get people to show up. Like it's just kind of tough, I guess.
Why is it? What do you think that's hard? Like just schedule maybe, or incentive?
So schedule was definitely a big issue, but we found a day where like a lot of the guilds could technically come because they raid. But I think a big thing is like there's just not a lot of guilds, like they're not really competitive. I guess like they're not interested in you know, like competition. Like I said, they're more interested in like bug farming and stuff like that. So they don't really want to fight guilds that are, you know, better than them. For example, like when Cutis first started, like raiding seriously, we weren't good like at all. We were pretty bad. And you know, we would see that Dracarys was raiding, for example, and they were like, you know, the top guild for so long, and we would just go find them, and they would just, you know, they would shit on us, and we'd learn from it, and you know, we'd come back and we'd try to fight them again. But that just doesn't seem to happen much, to be honest, anymore.
And a lot of the guilds are also on AD, and a lot of the guilds also use each other's members.
So there's overlap.
Yeah, it's not like each guild has their own set. I mean, I'm sure they do. I do see a lot of like crossover between each one of those guilds.
I mean, do you guys do like? How do you feel about duels and battlegrounds? Are there other bits of PvP that you also engage in, or is it just like the Cyrodiil bull group stuff?
I literally log in when our raid starts, and I log off when it ends, and I don't log in again until the next raid starts.
You are literally a depressed raider. So many people in PvE do that. It's kind of insane. Like, they just log in for raid and then just log out. Like, the moment raided, they just log out. They don't do anything else.
I'm kind of the same way. Like, I've done BGs of
depressed raiders, bro,
and stuff, but yeah, it's like log in for raid, like talk about what we need to change, all that stuff, and then it's like end of raid. Okay, what did we fuck up? Let's talk about that. What can we change? What do we need more of? And then I'm done.
Wow.
So, I guess why is that? Like, you don't, like, you only enjoy just that? That you don't want to, I don't know, take care of your inventory and post something to guild chat?
I think
go roleplay,
I think it has a lot to do with the way performance has been in the past and frustration. So I get into play a game that doesn't work, but I still like playing with the people I play with, so I do it. And then when it's done, I don't want to be a part of it. I'm out of this game. Wow. I'm done. And the performance has gotten better and stuff like. Like I said earlier, like until the game is fixed and worked, like I'm not gonna be like, I don't want to say this, but probably positive. I'm not gonna be like, yeah, they're gonna fix it. They said they are. I'm just in the game. I play. I do my raid, and then I'm done. Kind of been burnt quite a bit on that. It probably has a lot to do with it.
Okay, makes sense. You too, Soviet, right?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's like after group playing for all these years, I don't really find much. I don't really enjoy like battlegrounds or like playing solo, I guess. That's why I always tell people, like, if you can follow a group, you should, because in my opinion, it is like the hardest content the game has to offer, and it's also like the most fun. I will say though that PvE is definitely extremely difficult. I know we were talking about PvE earlier. My guild, we took a break from Cyrodiil for like 2 months, and we progged an IR, and that was like one of the hardest things I have ever done in this game. But we got it. We got it eventually.
Okay.
But I would say, yeah, I just think ball grouping is just a whole different thing, So I just can't. I don't really like playing like anything else.
What would you say is like the independent skill level of each member in the group, I guess, to make a ball group work? Like, do you have to be a good dueler? Do you have to be a good, I don't know, battlegrounds player? Or do you like? Is there some sort of base?
I think game knowledge is a big thing. Like, you gotta understand how the game works in PvP, even just like how your class works, and I think that helps out a lot.
Okay.
If you don't understand like how in a game works, which is kind of dumb, or if you don't understand how it works, or all this other stuff, you're probably not going to be super successful. But it doesn't mean that someone can't learn and can't be good or do well in a ball group sense. I think that helps out a lot. If you understand the game, it definitely plays to your advantage quite a bit.
Yeah, I think the big thing about ball grouping is like awareness. and positioning, and it's like a lot of things that you don't really learn doing like other parts of the game. And obviously like APM as well is like a big thing. Like we're always, you know, every raid we look at the every raid we always look at the cast tabs on logs, and you know, we're like, okay, you know, you only casted like this much, you know, like you need to cast more abilities, right? Because you have things to keep up and stuff like that. Yeah, it's like a mix of like APM awareness and positioning, and also game knowledge.
You mentioned logs. You guys use logs, right? I think you've started to use logs, or has that always been a thing since logs came out?
It's been a thing for
a couple years.
Couple years now. Okay. Is it hard to like sift through compared to like PvE logs?
No, I would say like we track like a few things. I mean, Tier might track more. We don't really go crazy into logs. We look at like, you know, major evasion. We look at like the different hot up times. We look at like, it's really it, to be honest. Another thing we do look at is the pack siege, because you can actually see like how many ballistas people pack when you siege a keep, and that shows like, you know, like when you're sieging like the outside of a keep and you have 20 out of 20, then you get the door down and you go inside, but you can't put more siege down because you're over siege limit. We kind of make sure everyone's packing siege every raid so we can actually get into keeps.
Yeah.
Logs are definitely like a game changer. It tells you a lot of like what's going on. You have a crap raid and like your major evasion on a certain amount of people is low, or like your major buffs are just all screwed up. Hey, you didn't have transmutation for the entire night, like what the hell? Stuff like that. It definitely helps.
Yeah.
Kind of pinpoint things. You know, people's damage output, people's healing up, like uptimes like that. It's a really awesome tool that I think like every group should use, in my opinion. It's kind of overwhelming. Like I know the first time I looked at it, I was like, dude, what the hell is going on? Like there's so much information. I don't even know where to start.
Yeah, isn't
like
sorry, go on.
Once you get it, kind of understand the basics of the log, it's easy to kind of maneuver and you can figure it out. Just it tells you so much information. It's an invaluable tool.
Have you ever seen the PvP log, Ollie? It's not the same as PvE log. Like, there's there's no categorized boss fight or trash packs and stuff like that. It's just freaking so chaotic looking.
I've sometimes done it by accident.
Okay.
And sometimes I wanted to see what the like people in my group are wearing without asking them. So I've logged in. Yeah, they're.
I can't.
That must be so much work to go through that.
I tried once. PvE logs I can read, but PvP I can't read.
Yeah, they're very hectic for sure.
It's really messy. I don't know how to describe it.
I guess you have to like compare the timestamps with where you were, I guess, rather than because you know you don't have like labeled bosses or whatever.
Yeah, it's pretty messy. They should make a PvP log system, maybe.
Yeah, I was gonna say, can we make a video about like how to read PvP logs?
Oh,
yeah, it's actually like difficult to deter because you can actually see like different fights we had throughout the night, but they're all named like Keep Door or Postern Gatehouse or something weird like that. So it's really hard. You have to like base it off of how long the fight was because it does have a duration.
You can also use the log map that will show you which keep you're at too.
Oh,
that's kind of a cool tool.
Yeah.
What are you hoping this? Sorry, go on, Ollie.
No, I wasn't.
What?
Go on.
What are you hoping to see in the future? I know you guys don't expect much, but what would you want to see in the future? Just in general for either ball grouping or PvP.
Just more groups.
More groups.
I think my favorite thing in this game is fighting other groups. I've pretty much come to accept that the pugs have had enough of all groups. They just don't want to fight us anymore. So if I can get another group fight in, that's always preferred.
I would definitely say like more group. 100%. I also love fighting groups. Going to a keep fight and fighting a bunch of doing all that stuff. Like it's definitely fun. group fights definitely like where it's at for sure.
Mm.
More groups. I mean, it would be cool to get more pop and Zero with, you know, better performance too. That would be awesome. I know that's kind of a tall order.
Yeah.
I think it was last year, and this was like right before I don't want to PvP anymore. But I was watching these two ball groups, and they were like not fighting each other. What's going on there? Like something like because they were just out of keep, and they were cleaning up pugs, but they weren't ever engaging with each other. It's kind of weird. But is that
there's like it's like how 1vxers, you know, they'll choose like not to fight each other. Like I almost wonder if it's something like that. And personally, I don't like that system because I like PvPing. You know, I just hope everyone kind of understands that it's just PvP at the end of the day. But that is kind of weird. We typically do engage like every single group we come across. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I usually avoid attacking 1vxers just because I know it's going to take forever to kill them. And I've got better things to do.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I mean, I can imagine maybe it could be something like that. Like, you want to avoid other ball groups just because it's going to be a pain in the ass to kill them when there's easy AP sitting there for you. Or, you know.
I would say, like, I would never do that. There might be extenuating circumstances, like we were fighting CB in a keep in another DC group, and there was pugs, and like we're not gonna go in and fight them because we're gonna get plague procced, and it's gonna be an easy wipe for them. Like there are certain situations where you gotta like be smart about it. I'm not openly gonna just like leave a keep, not fight another group. That's one of the biggest things I want to do.
Yeah.
I feel like. Wait, actually, you didn't mention Legion of Mordor. Is that not a thing anymore?
It is. They do.
Yeah, there's. I guess we forgot about LOM. Yeah, they do run. They run like 12. Sometimes they run more, but I think for the most part they run 12.
Okay. I was wondering if my pale orc was taking a break or something. Okay. Okay, so what's this about? Lair Marcel. I read that. Lair Marcel. Legions of Mordor. What was? I think just chat just kind of went off for some reason. What's the story there? Like. Reported.
So they're a DC group. They play like Blackreach. I guess the most I will say is that they don't like PvPing against the cutest boys in particular.
Oh, so there's a personal thing here. Okay, I mean,
yeah.
You want to talk about it?
You steal someone's girlfriend or something like.
So I would say like I've been around in the PvP community for a couple of years, and like a couple of years ago, you know, I was still like a young kid. I was like 18 years old, you know, and I was a little troll, you know. I like to mess with people, so I didn't really do anything like terrible. But like recently, when we started ball grouping again, you know, there's LOM, and we raided the same days as them. So pretty much any time that they were called out in zone chat, you know, we knew where they were at. We would show up and we would just fight them, and that was like pretty much a thing for a couple of months. And then I guess they kind of got tired of it after a while, and there was some disciplinary action, I guess, taken.
What do you mean? What?
Big spam.
They got no disciplinary action against us. So
by
I guess
Zas?
kind of like a yes.
Okay. wait. By that you mean like you get
teabagging? Why were you teabagging?
You get suspended? Or banned?
Yes, a few times. Well, not a few times. Probably like once or twice. But yeah. Just they
what?
They called it. So they called it repeated harassment, right? Because we just every time we knew their location, right? Like zone chat would be like, "Oh, LOM at
Okay.
Alessia, Lam, and Robeck, like, we would show up. Like I said earlier, we don't enjoy fighting pugs. Like, we like fighting guilds. So when I know where a guild is, like, I'm gonna take my raid there and we're gonna fight them. So yeah.
Oh, okay. So you would find them and they would report that as harassment.
Yes, because it was like kind of like we were finding them. At most fights they went to.
But you weren't like stream sniping or anything, right? Or whatever.
No, I mean, that's what everyone claims, right? But it's not hard to find, a group in Cyrodiil, especially a group that goes away from their own front lines. Yeah, exactly.
Right. Okay.
Yeah, that's a difficult subject, that really, isn't it? Like,
I don't get it. So they report you for harassment because you PvP'd? Did you do anything else? Like, maybe, I don't know.
I wish it wasn't as simple as that, but unfortunately, it is.
Well, did you do anything else, like teabag? I mean, stuff like that, or
just
whispers?
There was no whispers. I won't say that we didn't teabag. For the most part, no. I will say in most situations, like 95% of the time, there was no teabagging involved.
Okay. I mean,
do you want to take this opportunity to apologize to?
Oh my god.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. To anyone that have ever teabagged in Cyrodiil, I am sorry.
Okay.
I will. I will say, in CB's defense, Black Regis can get very dull and boring. So if you're not fighting a group, you're kind of doing nothing.
So wait a minute. So what do you think about the whole thing about the teabagging thing? You know what I mean?
I think it's like getting banned for teabag.
Okay, so my viewpoint is, if you teabag somebody in Cyrodiil, right, and then they ask you to stop, you should stop, right? But
I don't think that it was really for the bagging. So they have this belief that so they have this belief, and I've seen them say that if they are farming a keep, that no other group should show up. They should respect that area, and so really anyone that shows up and fights them, it's like, I can understand, like they want to do their pug fights, but you also have to understand that, like, there's other groups in Cyrodiil that have different interests than you, I guess. So that was, like, I guess their main thing, like with Zos, they're like repeatedly finding us and ruining fights and stuff like that, and that was like the big thing, I think.
Okay, so it wasn't for the teabagging; it was for the.
It was a little bit for the teabag.
Okay. 10% teabag, 9%.
You keep changing your.
Yeah, okay, so
it's like a mixture of both. I gotta touch all the subjects.
Okay. But yeah, I think if someone asks you to stop teabagging, then you should stop. But if they don't say anything, whatever. I mean, like, I don't think that counts as harassment. I don't think teabagging inherently is harassment. But if you keep following someone around and keep doing it to them, even after they ask you to stop, then that's probably kind of like harassment. You know what I mean? That's basically it.
Yeah.
But then, like, but then you said something about, like, so they communicated to you in game to not come to the keep, and that's, I think, the linchpin here for the support case. Did they never tell you, like, don't come to us in game?
No, there was never like anything like that. It was mainly, just. Then
I don't. I mean,
it was just like, I mean, that's why we were confused, because it is like as simple as that. Like, that's why it's kind of become such a meme to this day. Like, are you actually allowed to PvP against groups in Cyrodiil, or
Wow.
But I don't understand how
Can we get them on next week? This sounds brilliant.
just get their side of the story.
Okay, so they never communicated in game to leave them alone, and the whole teabag thing. Okay, that's covered. So why did you get banned or suspended? I don't get it. It doesn't make sense to me.
It was for repeated it was like targeted harassment.
Yeah, but they never communicated in game to not to. You know what I mean? Like.
Right, but I think that it definitely still falls under that category, right? Because, like I said earlier, how they think that because they sieged this keep, that they deserve to farm it, so no other group should show up and fight them. So I think that they take any group fighting them as like harassment, I guess. So yeah.
Wow.
Okay, well, I think that's dumb.
Yeah, it's kind of a bit wild.
I don't know. Maybe
I can
there's something
understand
else.
from their point of view. You'd be pissed off if you were getting farmed every night, right? By the same people.
Dude, they
Then
killed us. Like, I haven't had
Wait,
enough.
so how many people got suspended or banned from the reports? Just you?
I honestly have no idea. It was more than me, though. It was probably over half of our raid at one point.
Did you guys have like multiple strikes on your accounts before that, or none?
No. I think pretty much everyone is clean for the most part.
That's so weird.
Yeah.
That is so weird. I have never heard something like this ever happen. This is like the equivalent of don't come to zone chat, or don't look at zone chat because I'm in zone chat, or like don't port to Stone Falls because I'm in Stone Falls. That doesn't make sense. Like, I'm questing here, leave me alone. Like I don't get it. Like it's just weird. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, like, no one wants like Cyrodiil to be toxic. Like I said earlier, we enjoy the GVGs, we enjoy the skilled fights. It's just hard to create that atmosphere because people get upset. Yeah, like,
people don't want a PvP.
Why do you don't want a PvP?
They don't want to lose, I guess would be a better way to put it.
Yeah.
I guess
There's a lot of groups.
Yeah.
But just like to like pug fight and stuff. Just don't get me wrong, like I like doing that. Group fights, just as intense, just as crazy. You gotta have a good group dynamic. Gee. I don't know. Some people don't like doing. That's what it is, I guess. But why like tell people that they can't PvP against you when you're in a PvP area? That doesn't make sense either.
The whole mentality with not wanting to lose. I mean, I can kind of see that in PvE. I can definitely see that in PvE as well. People these days don't want to prog. Like, they don't want to do progression. Yeah, actual
they don't
progression.
Want to put the time in.
Yeah, they don't want to put the time into it. Because I guess like there's a sense of like being ashamed if you can't clear or get a trifecta in the first 2-3 weeks or some shit like that. You know what I mean? So maybe that's the same thing for PvP. Like, if you die in game, you die in real life or some shit. I don't know.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
I don't get it. Like, who cares if you die or you're losing? It's like you're learning, right? Hopefully. I don't know.
Some people just look at it differently, I guess.
Yeah. Alright. Do you want to bring up anything else in regards to bot groups or PvP?
Not really. I mean, I just hope that more people would get into it. I
think tomorrow, starting tomorrow, people will like you'll see a lot more people probably like get into PvP.
Yeah, I'll come play Cyrodiil.
On NA or EU.
Don't play on EU. Hey, that is actually terrible. You guys still don't have the server upgrades.
Oh, one thing I forgot to ask is like theory crafting, because I know theory crafting and builds and stuff at a like individual level is really different between PC and PCU, and of course between console and PC. Is there a difference in bot group compositions between NA and EU? I know Soviet, you mentioned playing on other servers.
Yeah. So when I played on EU, I noticed that guilds in general just built like tankier. I think there was like one guild that was different, and it was like Roleplay Circle, and they were led by this guy that played with Drek on NA. They definitely had like a lot more damage than most guilds, but just like in general, guilds were very tanky. They wear like a tank set on their stand-ins, but this was back when like permafrost wasn't nerfed, for example. But guilds on NA, I think, focus more on doing a lot of damage. Like when Drax still played and we were fighting them, like we both ran like 6 DDs out of 12. So it was like half our raid was doing damage, but on the other server it was like less. So
weren't the EU people mostly on the no CP campaign too?
Yeah, that's actually a big thing. Yeah, so they said that their CP campaigns were like so laggy that they could only play no CP. So
laggy, yeah.
Like the relevant groups like only played no CP for the longest time.
Yeah, you maybe see like 1 or 2 ball groups occasionally in the CP campaigns, but you have really very few.
Isn't it all 1 bar pop there and stuff? Nobody playing? Or was I misled on?
I mean, Grey Host right now is locked on every faction, and it has been for like the last 2 or 3 hours, and probably will be for another 2 or 3 hours.
Okay, so not terrible then. It's pretty good.
But yeah, I think the other campaigns, let's have a look. No CP is 3 bar, but it's not locked.
Yeah, I think that no CP is just not like the no proc campaign. I don't know. I never really enjoyed it, but that's because I can't play without Earthgore and a ton of people healing me. But
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
I think
mean,
a few people got a few questions. We can start wrapping things up. I don't want to keep you guys for too long. Will sticky healing changes kill ball groups or kill pugs?
It's gonna kill pugs. Nothing's ever gonna kill ball groups. Like, as long as
Nothing?
ball groups are playing. So I won't say nothing, but as long as ball groups are playing and ZeniMax isn't making like insane changes to the game, like ball groups are always going to benefit more from changes than pugs.
I think they have a... Sorry, go on.
When you have like pugs and they're all individuals, yeah, they might amass in the same, area and stuff like that. But like 12 people talking about comp and like what they need and adjustments is always going to be stronger, because that's 12 people coming together to accomplish, like I said, a bigger goal. It's not going to kill bugs, it's going to hurt pug like 100%. Ball groups always like find a way if you're competent enough, you understand the game enough, all that stuff. You have a good group of people. Like, we don't purge anymore. You said earlier, like, holy shit, you don't purge. Yeah, we don't purge anymore. But we found an adjustment around that, and we still do what we do.
It's so insane that you guys don't purge. Like, that's been such a staple for PvP for I don't know how long. I don't know.
It's been like that for months now.
Really?
You didn't think
you travel back 2 years or 5 years ago and tell me, oh, ball groups in the future won't fucking purge. I'll be like, shut the fuck up. You know what I mean? Like, anyway. But yeah, I think ZOS has this morbid fascination with trying to nerf the ceiling, and that's why so many people are quitting next patch. Not the top players, really, but like a lot of the mid tier, because they're targeting the ceiling in an effort to lower the ceiling, but then they're also inadvertently, lowering everybody else at the same time. And the best players will always like find ways to adapt or overcome or even like abuse the shit out of any loopholes, right? So I don't know next patch. I think next patch is the least casual friendly patch in a while, and that's saying something. Yeah, for PvP or PvE potentially. Who knows? Let's see. Elevator pitch me in 2 sentences. Why should I be in the ball group? 2 sentences. Okay.
Is that 1 each or 2 each?
2 each.
That's your 1 sentence.
In my opinion, hardest content in the game and the most fun you can have in the game.
I would literally say the same thing.
That's 1 sentence.
You've got 1 more left.
Join a fucking ball group. There you go.
Okay. Which faction is the worst? Ooh, I was gonna ask this earlier, but yeah. Like, are there differences? Which faction is the worst?
Yes.
Yellow's got to be the worst. Yellow's the weakest color.
Huh? Dude, I don't know about you.
Yellow's probably one of the
Yellow has the
strongest.
most groups.
Yo, 80 on PCNA, nothing to joke about, bro. Like, individually, like, they're like crouching in front of you thinking they're invisible, right? Individually, right? But when they get into a goddamn group, they have like 20 goddamn siege up on the front door before you fucking blink. It's like, I don't know. It's fucking mystery. Anyway. But yeah, which faction is the worst?
I'd say probably EP.
EP?
They have like... EP has like... I can't even think of another EP group. I think there's one other EP group besides us, and then we don't have any like zone generals because I don't know if you know Atu. You know Atu?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, shit.
Yeah, so he left us and he went DC. So now our pugs are just
Whoa. Yeah. Where's Emperor Davis, bro?
Emperor Davis quit the game. I'm pretty sure.
Shit. Okay, we need more zone chat commanders, bro.
Yeah.
Okay, so EP, what about you, Captain Morgan?
I would say definitely like EP 100%. They literally have one ball group, which is C, and like the other group, just PV door machine. So yeah, definitely EP. I wouldn't say DC's that much far behind. Honestly, we don't have much on DC side, but EP's definitely the weak.
Do they have a recommendation on who to play with for Daggerfall Covenant? For ball groups. Do people want to join?
So, like, Tears is great. There is Iron Legion. Like, all jokes aside, Legions of Mordor, super solid guild. They have like another guild that they have members in. It's called Fake News. They're all like solid groups. Always fun to fight.
Okay. How important, in your opinion, is it for a newer ball group to get into logs?
I would say definitely very important, because uptimes are a big thing for survivability.
Even if you're uptimes for sure, but even if you're just looking at like say damage taken or just overall cast of like what people are casting and are casting some stuff like maybe like Bone Shield might not show up on the logs. I mean, if you're going off the vitality, sure, there's definitely certain things that you won't see looking over a video or something. So logs like are a game changer. You 100% should do it if you want to take yourself seriously. If you don't and you're casual, like it's whatever. Won't make or break you because obviously you're casual. Like logs definitely worth.
Are you two open to guiding new raid leads that want to learn how to organize wall groups?
Hell yeah, I'd be down.
Yeah, so I think Avdir posted the link for the ball group Discord. You can join there. Me and Morgan are in there. Like if you're a new group and you want to get into it, like most groups have been like, I don't want to say most, but a lot of groups have been like secretive about their stuff in the past. But like, if you just DM me on Discord, like I'll literally send you a log from our raid and we can break down like comps and builds and we can go over like leading and stuff like that. Like I really don't mind, because I like seeing new groups in Cyrodiil.
Okay.
I will say off of that like we're not gonna do all the work for you.
Yes.
We're not gonna give you like the perfect comp and like help you grind builds and stuff, but I am so down with like helping others learn, get some more groups out there. Like it's definitely a lot of fun, and I think off to the side here, like a lot of people are misled by groups, especially like ball groups. Like I know there's a lot of hatred for them. Like you guys are just one button pressing fuckers. You don't do anything, or whatever it is, for that. Yeah. Still, there's a lot more to it, and it's a lot more challenging than people think. And I think it's a lot more fun. Like just going off of my experience with my group, we can be, a little toxic and competitive and stuff, but like we're honestly like a really good group of people. Most of us have been playing with each other for like a long time. I think that type of environment and like having more groups in actually adds a lot more to Cyrodiil than a lot of people think of, like taking away groups and reducing group cap and all that stuff. Like that will just make Zerodead. I think more groups is always good.
Okay.
You don't want everybody playing on that faction in a group necessarily. It might kind of ruin it. Having more would definitely be nice.
How is Daggerfall Covenant faring these days without Lord Fengrush, champion of the Covenant? Oh, why are you laughing, bro? What the fuck?
Lord Fengrush. Okay.
Dude.
Yeah.
What,
I mean, he's
okay. What do you guys think about Fengrush? I guess. I mean, this is.
I didn't even.
Oh, I love Fengrush.
You love Fengrush? Okay.
He's good and entertaining.
I didn't even know he was gone. Didn't even notice.
Okay.
No offense, but
Yeah.
And he was mostly running when we weren't running. He did like before prime times. Didn't really change anything for us except more people going DC, making queue longer.
Okay. Is there such a thing as ball group etiquette Or like things not to do as a ball group?
Yes.
Like what?
So say like if we're fighting like Soviets group and stuff like that, and there's like the example I said earlier, like we were in a key, we were gonna push them, but another group showed up. I'm not gonna personally like zerg down another group with another group or multiple group.
Why
I think like I just think it's respectable.
Okay.
You know, we fight like multiple groups, and it kind of gets redundant. Like if we go fight AD the other night, we were inside Fae and we got zerged down by like 3 to 4 groups. And don't get me wrong, like that's part of it. They want their keep back, and you know what? I think like at least our groups together recognize that like, you know, we want to be able to fight each other. We're not gonna like take advantage of a situation like that. That's at least for us. I know other groups do things differently and whatever.
Mm-hmm. I would totally be the opposite. I'd be like, oh, that ball group's getting zerged. Let's go in.
Zerg those guys.
Yeah, fuck it. No, you know, I was grinding for Grand Overlord like a couple years back. And I was in this PvP guild, like small scale PvP guild, and there's like a courtesy rule, not in the courtesy, like not a rule even. It's just a hidden rule. Hey, don't zerg your guildies. I zerged them down. Cause I'm like, I need this AP, bro. Like if I see you. You know what I mean? I need this AP. It's like whatever, I guess it depends on the goals of the ball group. Like you're looking for a 1v, like not 1v1 GVG, or you're looking for a fucking AP, or just to demolish everybody. I think it'd be fun.
And I also think it depends on the group too. Like if this group per se was just to zerg you down every time possible and stuff like that, yeah, I might go ahead and just go in real quick. If they don't have the ball group etiquette, then yeah, zerg their asses down.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's a respectable group, like we'll chill off to the side. We'll let it be.
Yeah. All right. Do we have any more questions? Let's see. Oh, what is this? Do you guys do small scale 1vx or dueling?
Wait,
nope. Never.
Yeah, not really.
Only time I play this game is when I have 11 people healing me.
Right. I don't know. Like I said earlier, like I only come to this game, at least for right now, is for the group play. So there's no incentive. It's not that I don't think it's a respectable thing to do, like 1vxing or anything like that. I think it seems pretty challenging and stuff like that. But the only thing that draws me to this game is group PvP, and that's the only thing I've been playing for the past 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
There's no incentive for me to really do anything else when I enjoy what I already do.
Yeah. Do you like GVG or pug farming more? I think this is the last question.
Like a good pug farm is obviously very fun, but they're hard to find. I think GVGs inside keeps are always like super fun, because they can go either way. It doesn't really matter. They can get kind of boring sometimes open field, because ever since they nerfed Purge and guilds have been running more healers, the fights tend to last a little bit longer than they used to. But I would say overall probably GVGs.
I would say this, but a good pug farm is always nice when there's 67 people and they keep stacking on the same point and you're just nuking 20 people at a time is always fun. But yeah, I mean GVGs are definitely fun.
Don't ball groups have to like do pug farms to train like movements and stuff anyway? Or
yeah, it's definitely
a good.
There's different things to look in each one. Pugs aren't coordinated. You don't have to look for problems. You don't have to. I mean, you have to worry about like certain ultis like getting negated and stuff like. When a coordinated group is pushing you, it's definitely much different than 60 people mindlessly just running into you. One is coordinated, one isn't. Obviously, it's definitely a difference. But for starting out, I would say definitely like pug farming is a great way to start a group. There's a lot more room for error and stuff like that. Of course, it depends on how many you're fighting. Pugs is definitely a good way to start. GVG, definitely much more difficult depending on the group you're fighting and depending on how experienced your group is.
Okay.
Great. But if we want to hear more from you, where do we find you? If you got Snapchat, if you got TikTok, if you got Twitch, Discord.
Twitch, yeah, Discord, yeah, anything. Twitter. Now I can post it for you in chat.
So I've got my Twitch that I've had for a couple years. It's just CptMorganGaming. Usually on like Thursday, Saturday, and Sundays when we run. And I know CB's got a good couple people that stream theirs. I don't know what days they've been running though.
So I think the main person that streams our raid, his @name. Is it okay if I post a link in chat?
Yeah, go for it. No.
Yeah.
Alright, let me grab it real quick. Okay, I'm not logged in. But it's if someone else could post it, his username is Rayn_XD. It's REYNE_XD.
Okay.
So he typically streams our raids whenever we have them. It's usually kind of random, but
All right. Well, we got that. Well, and I'll actually, okay, there we go. Perfect.
You found it? Nice.
Yeah, there we go.
Oh, yeah.
Rayn
Awesome.
XD. Rayn_XD. That's all you actually works. Well, I guess that'll be it. Thanks so much to you guys for coming. Like, I know it was a bit short notice, so I really appreciate it.
it was fun.
I appreciate it. I think it was definitely something that needed to be done.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Hopefully you won't get banned again. Keep out of trouble, guys.
I have a feeling that was not the whole story.
We could talk about that after.
Okay. Well, thanks for coming. I appreciate you guys.
Yeah, thanks, guys.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Have a great,
Bye.
wonderful day.